back
Wow,
for Survivor Season 31, Episode 7, Second Chance. I just wanted to do that once. I wanted to be the guy to introduce it because you do it every time. There's really no reason why it should always be you.
Because my name's first. That was not planned, as you could tell. I guess that was Will's revenge for me talking about him crying on the phone at 4 a.m.
That's just a lie, too. I think people are actually believing that for some reason.
It's really funny.
So it's completely made up. Like, just a completely – what's not made up is that Phil got catfished by one of our fans, pretended to be an online female. They started chatting. Phil was telling me, like, how he was so excited for her to visit. They were going to go to a concert together. He couldn't wait. And I'm sorry, Phil's heart was broken. And that's not a lie. That is a true story. Phil can actually tell you that.
Yeah, that also actually was a lie. I like how we're starting off the merge episode with this. That also is a lie. We weren't going to a concert. We were going to see Reggie Watts, which we do every week. So if you haven't seen Reggie Watts and you live in LA, go to El Cid and see Reggie Watts. You got to take pictures with him. I wouldn't consider it a concert as much as just a very fun outing. Tuesday nights, El Cid, Reggie Watts.
Well, you're going to take her out to dinner. You had all these plans, flowers.
Yeah, no.
All right, let's get into this episode. Enough making fun of each other, I guess. Great merge episode. I mean, nothing. It's no Kage-on. It's nothing huge. Spencer voting with that block of 4 would have been crazy. There was no way it was really going to happen.
Well, because he votes with that block of 4, and they have the votes. They have the numbers for 1 second.
No, not even a second. Like as soon as Tasha goes home, it is now like not even close. Yeah. It's 12 to or what 7 to 5.
Yeah, I mean, they still have no numbers. There's no way. Like, if Spencer would have voted with Cass, and I get that, like, yeah, he wanted to vote with Cass just because it was Cass and, like, all of that.
And, yeah, she saved him.
Yeah, she saved him. So, like, yeah, he feels like he owes her. But if he votes with Cass in this episode, all he does is screw himself because everybody's going to be like, we knew it was Spencer. And then Spencer goes home way sooner than he would have. Yeah, he's not in the best position, but he's in a better position now than he would have been had he actually voted with them. That would have been bad for him.
Yeah, there's no reason to do it. And I think that's why some of the suspense tonight was really you kind of knew Cass was going headed into tribal councils because that Spencer flip would have been insane. And then it wasn't like a toss-up between Sierra and Cass. Sierra was just like the person they were splitting the votes with. So that was only if an idol was going to be played. We knew Cass didn't have an idol, so it was pretty much Cass going. Completely her fault here. And I say this, I think this totally shows why Sierra and Cass, neither of them deserved MVP last week. And I'm even more right than I was before.
Yeah, especially about Cass. You were spot on with that one. Also, sorry guys, the comments are disabled again. Will was so worried about getting back at me for last week. The comments are disabled again.
There's literally no reason why this should be happening, unless Google they changed their whole, system. Which I mean, I guess they do that pretty frequently. I really don't know what we need to. I mean, I guess Twitter, because if you don't have a Twitter, just like make a Twitter and comment. Like you can make it 1 second.
Yeah.
You don't even need to follow. I mean, it'd be great if you followed us, but you don't even have to. You can just tweet at us, and we will get all the questions. Man, I really don't know what it. And maybe they're taking away because it's live. Because once the video ended last week, you could comment as much as you want.
Yeah, and there's like 15 comments on last video. This is super annoying, especially since we actually do like the comments are like half of our episode, so that's really annoying.
Yeah, we love answering the comments. That's my favorite part. I mean, we all just saw the same episode. There's a lot to talk about, but
And me and Will just ripping each other's opinions apart gets old after a while. So it's good to actually hear from other people and see where they stand. I have no idea what's going on. Super annoying. But let's just talk about the episode comments. Seriously, just comment on just tweet at us if you can. If you don't have Twitter, make one real quick and tweet at us, or
comment on the episode 7 prediction episode. Yeah. I think that might be the best way to do it. I apologize for this. Gonna have to figure it out. No clue why it's happening. But get your comments to us somehow. We will get to them. Let's start at the top of this episode. We have Savage, who he is pissed. Like, he is not okay with, Sierra and Cass, calls them professional liars. But he was the one lying to Spencer in a very professional way, like smiling, shaking his hand. So I don't know why he's just so angry that they flipped on him when he was literally doing the same thing to Spencer.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of that's always like everybody's hypocritical in the game, though. I mean, Cass is sitting there saying she never lied. I mean, she was lying. She said that, they were all going to vote out. Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Everybody lies in this game. So, like, everybody's just a huge hypocrite out there because you always want to pretend that you're never wrong. Especially somebody like Savage. He wants, like, the hero edit. He wants to be the hero on the season, so he doesn't want people to think that he's lying. He's going to constantly say that he's not, that he's, like, a good stand-up guy. I mean, yeah, he was ready to vote out Spencer after telling Spencer that he was fine. Yeah, so it comes back around to bite him a bit, but then, he gets saved by the merge. Savage had a really good episode tonight. He ate up a lot of screen time, but I thought he was very, very informative the entire time.
See, I don't know. I kind of got like a kind of crybaby whiny vibe, at least early on, him complaining that someone flipped, like it's Survivor, like deal with it. And then, praying for this merge. And I know it's a big deal. He did get better throughout the episode. I mean, he had 11 confessionals tonight, just a huge episode from him. I still don't know why. Like, why did we need that much of Savage? It seems like Jeremy is the head of that alliance. Maybe they're trying. I don't know. I'm kind of confused. You know why it was so much Savage? It's not like he's some great narrator.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because this was like the end of his arc to actually make the jury and stuff like that. And maybe they're trying to hide Jeremy a little bit because Jeremy's been a pretty obvious winner for a little bit. Not an obvious winner, but he's been like a very heavy front runner here for a while now. So maybe they're trying to hide him a bit. They're trying to hide like Tasha a little bit more. I mean, we still got a lot of Tasha, but Savage was a big part of the whole beginning, and he got some of his confessionals right there. And I see what you're saying about the whiny crybaby type thing, but I think it was more or less that he's not a very social player. I don't think he really understands the social game that well, and he realized that he was about to be screwed again and go home without making the merge or without making the jury, and that was just going to eat him up because that's like really what he came out there to do. So I think it was more frustration, and I hate these people because now I'm not going to make it because of this. Then like these are actually bad people.
Oh yeah, I don't think he thinks they're bad people. He's mad. He's really mad at them. He says F them. He really is angry. It's not like he would have got screwed though. Like he screwed himself. Bringing up Sierra's name instead of Kelly Wigglesworth or Abby or Wu. Like you have to, that account for that. That was your mistake, and that wasn't some kind of like, oh, the edit made it look like that. No, that is why Sierra got mad. That's why she got cast. That's why they got Spencer to pull the rug out from Savage. So that's on him.
Yeah, he completely screwed it up, but I don't think that he's smart enough to, or I don't think he's
I don't think he realized it. Yeah, he doesn't know why. He's not seeing the confessionals. But the merge does happen. It happens quickly. Yeah, merging at 13. You heard it from everybody. Wow, this is huge. This is huge. Yay. Craziness. No buffs. No bag of buffs at all.
Never going to happen.
Just disappointing all around for the bag of buffs for our prop bet game. But we have, I guess, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. You take it, Phil.
Maybe I'll let this linger for a little bit. Everybody remember, Will can't think straight. Look at that.
I can't. It's too exciting. There's too much to talk about.
What I really want to talk about with the merge here is that Joe, like, man, did he lit up tonight. Like, he really was great. He was in his swing position, which is shocking. I mean, Fishbox doesn't say it all the way until the end of the episode, but I'll just go there. He says, look how much the game has changed. There's 3 tiny women sitting up here who are going to be the merge boot. And to see somebody like Joe, who is the ultimate threat to win challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge, and he's likable enough to win the game, and he's a swing vote. His name didn't come up except for we need him. Like, he was never going to be in danger.
Right. He was never going to be in danger. He did have immunity, so he couldn't have come up. But I see exactly what you're saying. Spencer and Joe are in the middle, and they're these 2 huge threats. It was pretty wild. What I was going to say is the name of the tribe. We did not hear them name it.
We didn't get it.
Which is crazy because it's like you always hear that's a classic moment of Survivor is them naming their tribe, and it's like Okroon or Okron.
We don't even know how to say it. This one we can say however the hell we want because they actually have not said it yet on the show.
Which is insane because it just came up. It's just Okron. I think it means like thank you in some language.
We're gonna call it okra the entire time.
Oprah?
Okra, like the vegetable.
I think there's an N.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call it okra. Until somebody can tell me that I'm pronouncing it wrong and prove it with somebody saying it, it's okra.
Only
It's
on
easier for me to
Survivor
say.
though. You can't
Yeah,
get
I
it
don't
on.
care about somebody from the Philippines actually saying it right. But yeah, I thought that was weird to me too, because last season it was so built up, and maybe that just explains why this season's so good and last season was kind of middle of the road. Last season they had to focus heavily on why the tribe name was Murica, and this season we didn't really get it so much.
Yeah, but America was like a crazy merge name. They did need to address it. Here, I guess it's pretty just like a word in the language. I guess it's okay. We had this was probably the most strategically heavy episode in the history of Survivor. Every single conversation was dealing with numbers. Who could we get to swing with us? I'm thinking about this. Not very much going on at camp. I mean, you have 13 people living in a shelter, sleeping together, and no one. It doesn't get brought up once. Like how uncomfortable that must be. Everyone's got their head in the game. Everyone is talking strategy.
Yeah, the only episode that I would say would be close to this in terms of strategizing would be the Tocantins merge, but we all knew that was just leading up to Joe being medevaced, so it didn't have the same effect. But that was another episode, much like this one, where it was just constant scrambling of, well, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this. And I remember, like, at the end of that episode, it was like every single person thought that their alliance was going to work, and they all thought they were going to blindside, like, somebody different. And then Joe ends up going home, and we don't get, like, this huge payoff until that Timbira tribe falls apart. But in this season, I mean, we got the payoff. We got to see Cass go home after all of this scrambling and all of this strategizing. And, I mean, I think it's the right move to get rid of Cass here. Do you think it's the right move to get rid of Cass here over Sierra in this situation?
Oh, for sure. 100%. This was all Cass's fault. I mean, the editors did not really a great job of keeping it hidden. They telegraphed it. But the story arc for Cass is just perfect. She comes in the premiere and says, I'm going to be nice and friendly, change my game until the merge comes. Then I'm going to bring Chaos Cass out. She has this wonderful, beautiful edit of being nice, changing. And then the second she reverts back to her old ways, she flips on Savage. Boom. Next episode, she's gone. Chaos Cass has arrived. She's lying. And she gets her head chopped off. And it's great storytelling. It sells the theme of this season so well.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, Tasha said the Bion Alliance was gone, and Cass just kept using that against her. So Tasha's sitting there lying because Tasha did say obviously, you're not going to tell Cass the truth if Cass isn't in your alliance, but Tasha did say the Bion Alliance is gone. So every time that kept getting brought up after that, and Tasha's like trying to backpedal, I love how Cass just stays so calm as Tasha is clearly getting riled up. And inside Cass is like on fire, but on the outside, she's so calm. That was like my favorite part of the episode is how like she just stayed like so monotone and so obnoxious about it as Tasha's getting like infuriated.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it. It's good television, but I think everyone around was like, are we really going to listen to Cass here? Like, we know who you are, Cass. And even if Tasha said that, Tasha had the perfect defense. I don't trust Cass. I'm not going to tell her the truth. Like, there's no reason for like, if Cass is the one like throwing Tasha under the bus, who is Tasha aligned with? Because if Tasha and Cass were together, then Cass would not be doing this to you. So she's obviously with Bion. So it really doesn't make it made Cass look really bad, and it was the reason she went home. Like she just started this argument for no reason. Like Tasha wasn't being straight with me. I'm gonna go try to throw her under the bus in front of her alliance for really no reason. Like, why do you need to go do that right now? I think they had a good chance to have the numbers, that 5. And then once Cass blew up, that's when it all fell to pieces. Keith was like, yeah, I guess Cass is, she's causing too much trouble. Like, it was so easy for them to turn.
Yeah, it was an easy person to get rid of. Let me know if I'm still coming through clean because for some reason my internet's being super laggy, at least trying to load pages. So if I start like going in and out, let me know. But I thought that Cass just played it too hard. And, once again, she forgot that she was supposed to just stay like, in the background a little bit. Now, what I did think was good, although it was to the wrong person, I thought Sierra trying to throw Savage under the bus was good, but she couldn't say he wanted to vote out Jeremy because Jeremy knows that Savage could not wait to get back to him. If she would have thrown Fishbox's name out there, then we might have had a different scenario here. So Sierra had a good idea here to just try to keep on piling it up while we're throwing Tasha under the bus. Let's throw Savage under the bus. But the biggest problem here is you say Savage wants to vote out Jeremy, and Jeremy knows 100% that Savage is not going to vote him out of this game.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I still don't think it's a good idea to talk in front of everyone in public and get, start confrontations. You don't want to have, that target on you. If you start getting in arguments, people say, oh my gosh, something's up with them. We got to watch out. I think this maybe is a move you make when you're on the bottom. Like you have maybe 3 or 4 people, it's a tribe of 10 or something, and you're just trying to do anything you can. This was not the case. They had a solid group of 5. I mean, we didn't know about Joe, but we had a pretty good group of 5. They seemed like they have Abby. Why don't you try to talk to people one-on-one on the side, see if you can pull them over, see if you can get your 7. Instead, they immediately resort to just throwing people under the bus in front of their alliance, and that is not the right way to do it. So I see what you're saying about Fishbach. That might have landed well, but still, I don't think it's a good move. All you have to do is go up to Fishbach personally and say, look, Savage really wants you out. Like, come join us. And if that's, the route, if you want to get Fishbach over. But I think you have Spencer. Like, Spencer was in the middle. Joe was in the middle. Why don't you just work on them instead of, like, why are you worrying about Tasha anyway?
I think they realized they had lost Joe at this point, to be completely honest. I think that at this point in the game, I think Joe was definitely more with the guys. And I think they saw that old Bion Guy alliance coming to fruition after like everything that happened at the beginning of the season. And I think that Cass and Sierra got paranoid because I think they realized like, wow, we've lost Joe. That's one of the 5. We have Abby, which brings it back to 5. But if we can't get Joe back, we're not going to be able to convince any of the other Bion people. So I think they realized that they were losing it and they were just throwing everything at the wall. We just didn't see it. That's really how I feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they would have shown us they would have shown that conversation with Joe. Because Joe's conversation with Jeremy was nothing solid at all. On the beach, Joe's like, I'm going to talk to everybody, see where everybody's at. He did not have his mind made up. So, yeah, there's that whole kind of weird shelter scene where Cass, like, they're broing down just because Steven told a poem. Like, I don't really understand why.
Weird. I didn't know dudes like telling each other poems, and that means you're bros. Like, I never realized that.
Exactly. So I don't know. That's, like, why they chose to air that confessional from Cass. But let's say this. Let's say Joe is gone and you have Abby, and then Spencer really did want to vote with that Cass group. He really, really did. Like, the numbers did not allow him to, but he would have voted with them if he, like, had a decision, I think. Do you agree with that?
I think he would have, but I think him and Wentworth might be talking a little more than we're seeing, and I think that him and Wentworth – because Wentworth didn't vote with them either. So I think that she was like, hey, let's just vote with the majority. This way they don't think that we're with them. Let Sierra and Cass and Abby Maria, like, do their own thing. We don't need to worry about it. It's not going to help us in the long run. It's just going to help us for one vote because Wentworth didn't actually end up voting for them. I thought going into this there was going to be a 3-way tie and Spencer was going to throw his vote away. Or at least that's the way they were making it seem a little bit. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll get 4-4-4 and then Spencer throws it at Savage, which ended up happening. But I was really surprised that Wentworth didn't even do it. And that really told you where Sierra and Cass lie in this tribe. And Sierra is probably next.
Yeah, I didn't think Spencer, I don't think, would throw a vote. He knows the game well enough. Like, if he doesn't flip all the way, Cass is still going to go home. So it's the same thing as writing her name down or voting, with that voting block. But let's say you have Abby and Spencer and Keith is still on board if you didn't run and, start a fight. So that's 6, and then all you need is 1 more. And you could easily, you go up to Steven, go up to Kimmy,
Yeah, I mean, you have to try to make the offer, though. And we don't really know how tight this Bion alliance is, but it seemed like from as little as we've seen of this alliance, it seemed like the 5 or 6 of them were super tight. Like, it was really weird because we've seen so little of all these people working together, and it seemed like they were never going to not work together. Like, it was very bizarre.
I don't know. I feel like we knew Jeremy, Steven, and Kimmy were definitely a tight threesome. Like, they've been day one, same tribe.
Like, Savage, Tasha, Wigglesworth, like that whole 3 right there. Like, it seemed like they were just set in stone as soon as they made it over there.
Well, we knew Savage and Wigglesworth were tight. We knew that for sure because they voted together on.
But you never know if that's just Wigglesworth kind of following around, but it seems like Wigglesworth actually is aligned with them. Wigglesworth is going to go finish like 6th or 7th place in this game and not talk for the rest of the season. Like, that's pretty much what I'm figuring here.
She's done. She's not really. She's a vote to be had. Yeah. But they did show us that confession from Savage pretty early on in the merge that, like, Kelly is with us. She's good. So I don't know. I wasn't that surprised that they, arrived with that kind of 5 pretty quickly. It really did come down to Spencer and Joe. I don't know. We're not really talking in any order here, which maybe is good. It's just we're kind of throwing things at the wall.
It's because in an episode like this, all that happened is they merged, and then it was just a mess. You know, we had the challenge and stuff, but like because there was no reward challenge to break it up, and because there was no like different tribes doing anything, like everything just kind of meshes together, and every one thing led to another. So I feel like you kind of have to just talk about it as it goes. Who else did we hear from tonight that was good? I mean, Steven seems like he's all right, although the preview for next week might not be that way. It might be like that he's he might be trying to stir something up. Who actually knows? But it seemed like Savage was completely fine with working with Steven for the time being.
Oh yeah, I mean, once you go to tribal and get blindsided like he did the tribal before, he's gonna work, you know, with anybody. So I think that Steven Fishbach or Savage Fishbach thing is gonna come to a head later down the road. Do you see this alliance sticking together? Because there's a lot of them. There's 9.
There's too many people. Yeah, there's too many people. I mean, how long can they stick together? It would be another 2 or another 3 votes.
Right. Do you think this 9 is going to be the final 9?
No, because Kelly Wentworth will be in there.
Right. So Kelly Wentworth voted with them too. So that's 10 people voting together. The only people who didn't were, you know, Sierra and Cass. Do you think Sierra is now?
Well, and Abby. And this is my question: is why does Abby not feel the like a good reason to go back to Tasha and Savage after they kept her around that whole time? Like I thought they actually bonded somewhat, and it seems like Abby wants nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I'm so confused with
and
how.
And they didn't show it all again. So
right.
Weird.
I'm very confused with how those 9 people got on the beach. Like even Keith was there, and then you have Wentworth, who seemed to be good with like all those people. Her whole alliance, like I mean, she had been on the tribe with those people. Like Joe, she was good with. Keith, she said she was good with. Spencer, she was talking to. I don't know how Wentworth didn't get in that conversation. And then it's just like Abby, like you have relationships there too. So I don't know.
Yeah. But at least Wentworth voted with them. Like Abby not voting with them is just so bizarre to me because it's like you have connections down there. Why not just vote with them to help your game? Why are you voting with Cass and Sierra who have done absolutely nothing for you?
Yeah, she just likes being a villain. She doesn't. I don't think she's trying to win. It really is insane. Do you think Sierra is kind of like? Do you think she goes next? Like, I mean, she's probably going to be, you know, last on the power rankings for this week because she is in a pretty bad spot. Like Savage wants her gone. He talked her up, saying she tells these like lies that are half truths and they sound really good. Do you think Sierra's going to come back from this?
No, because she's too much of a threat. I don't think that people are going to want to keep her around. I don't think they're going to let her sneak in. The only way that she survives the next episode is if somebody makes a totally boneheaded move and is like, hey, let's vote out Jeremy, and like actually means it. Like that's the only way that somebody else goes home other than Sierra next week. But I would say it's about 90% chance Sierra's going home. It was really Cass and Sierra were super tight. And now that Sierra lost Cass, it's like she's just a sitting duck.
See, I think Sierra has a way higher chance than 10% to survive next episode because yeah, it takes someone to do a dumb move, but there are 9 people, maybe even 10 people that can do that dumb move. Like it's only her and Abby. All it takes is you have 10 other players and they're all thinking, they're all playing hard. This is their second chance. All it takes is for one of them to say, hey, let's get a group of, 5. I mean, I don't know. You're still going to need 7 votes next week to get it done unless you're going to, get someone to split. And
for Sierra right now is such an uphill battle because to get 7 votes when you have nobody who's actually allied with you, because I guess you could say Abby is.
Right.
I guess you could say Abby, but at the same time, that's not exactly somebody that everybody's like, wow, Sierra and Abby, we should really work with them. That is such a better deal than what we got going on now. I mean, it seemed like Cass and Sierra were smart enough where they were like, hey, Abby, let's take her. I think Cass even says it. Nobody's going to vote for her to win, so if we can get to the end with her, we win. You know what I mean? So I think that was the whole thinking there. You're not going to pull anybody in by being like, come with me and Abby. We'll take you to the final 3. Like that's not going to work, I don't feel like. Because I don't think anybody wants anything to do with Abby. I think this showed it. I think Abby's really further outside than we thought. It's weird that we haven't heard from her in the last 2 episodes when big things are happening around her and she's actually flipping.
I'm glad though. Like I think we got we got way too much Abby early on, and I think they're kind of making up for it now, letting other things play out. I guess we should. The Spencer Kelly talk, they seem to be really tight, and that's why I'm so confused why Kelly wasn't brought in on that huge conversation. I know she voted with them, but you think that was Kelly kind of saying, you know what, I want to get in the good graces with this tribe. I want to fit in. I have good relationships already. I'm going to vote with them. Or do you think they actually pulled her aside and said, this is what we're doing? Thanks for looking out at Cass and Sierra to see what they're planning, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that Spencer might have actually pulled her to the side and said, look, this is how we're going to vote. And I do think Kelly Wentworth has more connections than we're being led to believe with her as well. Like, I think that people do like Kelly Wentworth. And I don't think Kelly Wentworth was ever really with Cass, Sierra, and Abby. She might have just been sitting there while it was going on, and she's witnessing everything going on around it. And then I think there might have been some talking, but if they show that Kelly Wentworth is going to vote out Cass or Sierra, they give away the ending. You know what I mean? Even more so than they had already done. So maybe they just didn't want to show Kelly Wentworth being completely dragged into this alliance now, and now it's 10 against 3, and there's no chance. At least in this case, it seemed like it was Spencer who was completely deciding the fate of Cass.
Yeah, he really couldn't have done if Kelly was really with them. But again, that's why I was so weird about it, because Abby and Sierra and Cass, they were all on that other tribe. That's the 3 that voted together on the new Takeo. So yeah, I think I still like Kelly's chances to go far in this game. We did get a lot from her tonight. I do worry just a little bit about Jeremy. I think his edit took a little slight dip because he said it's always smart to split the votes, which is really not true. It's not always smart to split the votes.
No.
It can bite you in the ass so many times. You have an idol in your pocket. All you need to do is figure out that Kelly has the Takeo one. Cass was never on Anchor, and then there you go. So I don't think it really was. Obviously, we know it wasn't necessary. But if you're in that situation, are you splitting votes with 9 people in Cass and Sierra?
I really am not. I think you just vote Cass and hope that Cass doesn't have the idol. Because, I mean, not only is it 9 people, it's 9 people where it seemed like there were people who were kind of in an alliance with Cass and Sierra at some point. So, like, you're really taking a huge chance here that not a single person out of 9 is going to flip and just join sides with them, which easily could have been done. I mean, Spencer had good reason to do it. He's just too smart of a player to do it. So I would not have split the votes. I thought that was like a really risky move, and I was actually fearing for Tasha because in that situation, maybe Spencer says, hey, I owe Cass one. I'm going to vote, and maybe they still get rid of Cass and Sierra next time. If not, at least I have them as on my side. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I think because immediately after Jeremy said that comment, it's always smart to split the votes. They jumped to, that foursome in the shelter saying, if they split, we can take advantage of that, pull in one more. We have 5. So that's just the only little, if Jeremy does win, I'm curious why they included that.
Because the thing with that is with the 5 there, Joe was never really that tight with that other group, it didn't seem like. It seemed like he really would have worked with the Takeo, and Keith would have worked with the Takeo. So maybe after this week, they do get rid of Tasha, and those 5 say to Joe and Keith, why don't you come with us? Then we're 7. Like, it could have easily happened because there were so many people who weren't solidified. They were just kind of on the outskirts of an alliance. So kind of weird that they would split the votes in this big of a situation.
Yeah, and when you have Keith there, they started getting Keith in, and he's like, he gets to the confession like, yeah, I'll vote Cass. That sounds good. She's mixing things up. You don't want that. And he was kind of looking around. He was the only one standing during this meeting. I was going, uh-oh, is Keith going to, pull another stick to the plan here and kind of screw up this vote split?
Go ahead. Keep going real quick. I hear you. I don't think that Keith was going to ruin it. I'm trying to see if I can figure out the disabled comments thing real quick. I'm just typing it in because it's annoying me. And Steve did tell me last week he was listening to it. And when you come in, you do come in the middle of the episode. So if anybody joined us late, comment on the last video because we've gotten no comments yet. And that's half of our podcast here. So comment, give us your thoughts because this was an episode where there's a lot of things that we didn't get to see. So comment on the last video or tweet at us. We don't know why the comments are disabled. That's what I'm kind of looking at. But I didn't fear that Keith was actually going to blow this up. I really didn't. I think that Keith was
just for a split second. Just when they showed him kind of, being Keith, I was like, oh my gosh, it sounded such a bad idea to do a split with nine people. I guess we can get into the immunity challenge here. Joe wins it. I'm kind of surprised that Joe wins it because yeah, he's a challenge beast. He's so good at a variety of things. But this is a very unique skill. You need balance, you need hand-eye coordination, concentration, endurance. And these aren't the type of challenges that these big buff guys win. They're just not. So for Joe to win this one too, if he goes on some sort of run, he might actually, take the title away from Ozzy. I know we talked about this in our last recap when someone commented, is Joe the best ever? We said no way. It has to be Ozzy. But after tonight, with something like this, just holding a ball on the stick, it's insane that he gets this one done too. And we know he's good at puzzles.
Yeah, and a lot of people might be sitting there going, why would Joe win this? Like, you're just showing yourself as a threat. I'm just a firm believer that Joe can't hide that he's a threat. He's got to do it socially to get far in this game. Everybody knows that he can win any challenge. And, Joe, I think, wanted to make sure he wasn't going to be the merge boot. Like, I think he just wanted to ensure that he was the swing vote. Like, he was a solidified swing vote. Anytime Joe doesn't have immunity, he has to know that he's in trouble of going, especially after what happened last season. So if I'm Joe, I win every single challenge and just hope that the one time I don't win, they don't vote me off, that there's bigger threats for different reasons.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's no way. And it's like there's 13 people left still. You have to do what you can to, get on to the next one. You can't really be worried about, am I too much of a threat? Because you might not even make it to the end if you're going to, not try your hardest at winning immunity. So definitely smart by Joe.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I thought Joe had a fantastic episode. This is a guy I did not think would make the merge. And now that he's at the merge, he had probably the best episode out of everybody, because Savage had a good episode, but it did show him a little negatively, like you said at the beginning, like telling people like, fuck off and stuff. But Joe, was positive the entire time. And that's so weird to me that this guy makes the merge and is in a driver's seat. Like, how do you let Joe be in a driver's seat in this game like this late? And then they get rid of Cass, who is a strategic player, but man, she's no physical threat. So like that's just letting Joe, Joe, I don't know, man. I don't.
And the way she was started playing after the merge, she wasn't a jury threat either.
Yeah. So Jeremy's
totally,
plan's working right now. It's a bunch of threats still left, and then you got Kimmy and Kelly Wigglesworth.
The way Jeremy was sitting when Cass and Sierra were bickering and Tasha, Jeremy was sitting there with like his little buff over his head. He was just like watching it like he's like the king in his throne, watching all the minions bicker. It was really great by Jeremy. He really didn't get into it. He kind of is like, you know what? I trust my alliance. I got this game on lock. It appears that Jeremy is in total control. I do think Spencer now is the winner after this episode. He is my winner. I'm not changing my preseason winner pick. I can't do that. But after 7 episodes of Survivor Second Chance, I would say Spencer wins this game.
Which is something that I forget who. It was somebody on a podcast. They had said 2 weeks ago that Spencer was the front runner win this game, preemptively calling it over you. So they might have lost the battle of Wu versus Cass, but in the end, they probably are going to win the war because I think Spencer's going to win the game too. That podcaster was me. Oh, it was me. It was me. I said 2 weeks ago that Spencer was going to end up winning the game, and you were like, "No, Jeremy, no." So I firmly think like right now Spencer is in the best position of everyone.
Yeah, well,
and I thought it 2 weeks ago. So some of us can predict, some of us are just followers. It's it's one of those things.
Who was last in your power rankings this week?
Sierra.
Where'd you have Cass?
12.
Ooh, yeah, I had her at 13th. Oh, wait, no, I only get 1 point.
Are we mudslinging at this point? I think we are. I'm still beating you in the power rankings. See, this is why we need comments.
I'm beating you like 4 straight weeks. I feel like. I feel like the boot I always have like either the last spot or like the second to last spot.
Yeah, probably because you looked at that boot list that's been going around.
No,
anyway, no, don't look at the boot list, guys, because the entire pre-merge was right. So nobody look at the boot list because
I'm getting off of Reddit because supposedly there's someone on Reddit going around messaging people who are unspoiled and just sharing the boot list. Like what an asshole!
It's so annoying. Like grow up. It's probably Shireen. No, it's not Shireen, guys. Sorry, but
this supposedly came from one of the jury members. So. I hate this jury member. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's my favorite player. Like I don't care if it's Steven. Like I hate you now. Because this sucks. Like I can't enjoy.
Would do this though. I think Steven is the least likely candidate to do it because I think Steven.
No, that's what I mean though.
Much. But
like I love Steven.
It could be somebody like Cass or Savage being bitter, like maybe that they made the jury like this early. I mean, whoever it is, like grow up. Like it's a game show. Like. and stop ruining it for the fans, because all that's going to do is make the show go off the air sooner, and like that's just annoying. Like, just shut up. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but don't spoil it for people that don't want to be spoiled. That's just like, what are you, 5? Like, I'm going to tell you who dies at the end because I have nothing better to do. Like, just like,
like what if you're a jury member? Why do you do this? It's pretty bummer because I can't, I love going on the Survivor Reddit, and I rarely go on Sucks, but I do sometimes. But I'm not going to go there anymore because their spoilers are all over that place.
Well, the only good thing about Sucks is if you go into a certain forum that doesn't tell you that they're spoilers, it is really well moderated, so they get rid of it like as soon as somebody posts something like that. Like,
yeah, but that could happen that's why I'm staying away from Reddit. They do a good job too, but it's like if you just happen to be there right when it's posted, you're the one to like report it. Like, I don't want to be that guy who reports a spoiler. Not that I wouldn't do that, but I don't want to see it at all.
Well, the good thing about most of the spoiler boot lists is it starts with Vetus at the top. So once I see Vetus's name, I'm like, okay, don't look at that no more. But yeah, seriously, if you don't want to have it spoiled, there is a boot list going around that is probably right because the whole pre-merge was right. I'm not sure if they had cast going right now because I didn't look at it, but they had the whole pre-merge correct. So
maybe that's why comments are disabled. It just happens. Someone is trying to spoil it for us, and so the Google gods are just saying no more comments.
I think it's just technology being difficult, so that we can't do the fun part of our little podcast here. Did you see the thing I sent you? Yeah.
I can't get it. It's a live stream. You can't like edit. I tried doing it last week. It's a very clear area where you say enable or disable comments. The default is always enable, and it's always like that. And I'd never changed it. So there's really nothing we can do now that I've already started the video. Again, get at us on Twitter or comment on our episode 7 predictions episode. I guess do you want to talk about tribal here or anything pre-tribal? I mean, there's so much scrambling.
Yeah, this tribal though, to me, I mean, if you want to go pre-tribal or tribal, I just didn't feel like we covered pre-tribal pretty well. I didn't think that tribal was as crazy as they played it up to be. Like, I didn't think it was that nuts. That's why I was kind of expecting the 3-way tie. Sierra, I thought, made some really good points here. Like, I thought she was doing a good job of fighting it, and that's why you don't want Sierra to get deep in this game because she could sit in front of a jury and win. Tasha versus Cass was just, like, pretty much dumb. I mean, it was just Cass saying the same thing she'd been saying the whole time, really desperate. Tasha getting, like, super mad. And this is what I was talking about. Like, Cass sits there, like, so, like, even-keeled and sees Tasha getting riled up, and Tasha's playing right into Cass's hands. Like, that is Cass trolling her. Like that is 100% spot on what a troll is. And like, I would know. I mean, I just did it to Willie like 3 seconds. We just do it to each other. Like, this is like, we're both trolls at heart, and Cass is a troll at heart. And a troll's favorite person.
I'm not a troll. What are you talking about?
A troll's favorite person in the world is somebody like Tasha who just gets so mad at it. And like, Tasha was furious. I mean, granted, her life was on the line, so she kind of had to get furious. Although I think Tasha had to realize she was in a better spot. Like, so just play it cool and just let Cass leave the game. Like, just sit there. You know what I mean? Like, don't show that much emotion at this point because, man, it seemed like they really had a solid 9, and then Kelly Wentworth voting with them. I mean, they had 10 people, and Tasha had to have known that was going to happen. So, like, just play it cool the entire time. Don't even say anything to her.
Yeah, I agree with you. No reason to, like, get in a fight with the person who's going home. Just let them say their piece and then, go home. In the preview for this episode, Jeff had like a quote saying, "This is even too crazy for me," or something. And that did not happen. Yeah, that did not happen.
So, and that's why I really thought there was going to be a 3-way tie, because when they went to do the voting, Jeff still hadn't said it. And I'm like, oh my God, there's going to be a 3-way tie. That's like, that would be like a cool thing to have happen. And that's what Jeff's going to be like, this is too much for even me, because he didn't know like why the person threw their vote away or something. Maybe like when they were arguing again after that. So it was weird to me.
Yeah, when he said it is now time to vote, I thought someone was going to go like, wait a second. Like, the thing, I guess the whole thing with this tribal was basically Sierra who took up a lot of time here saying, like, you have to make moves. You're on the bottom. Like, there's 9 of you. Like, you can have something better. But, like, it was just so not true. You're flipping to, like, be a 5th. Like, she was talking directly to Spencer. And I don't understand.
I think she was also talking. She wasn't just talking to Spencer. She was talking to other people because, like she was saying, there's a 6, 7, 8, and 9. You're not all in the top 5. And I think that was her argument was, there's a bottom 4 here. Come with us, and maybe you won't be a bottom 4. Like, maybe that's kind of what she was trying to say, because if they had 8, it would be 4 and 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think that's
I don't know if there are. I don't know if there is anyone on the bottom here because it's such a big group.
It's not a real alliance.
Yeah, it's not like they're ranked. This is our order of our alliance. Like I think there are 2 probably groups within the alliance, maybe even 3 or 4, just of different connections. So, and then to have this huge speech and things when Kelly Wentworth isn't even on your side, I don't know. Maybe she's talking. She knows that Cass is going home, so she's talking to other players for like the future of her game. Like when she gets back to the beach, this will be sitting with them. So maybe that is a really smart move to do by Sierra, and it's good for TV also, so that it added some intensity and suspense.
Yeah, this is the Sierra we've really been waiting for. I mean, the last 2 episodes she's been a big part of, but like Sierra is like, she's really good at saying what needs to be said when it needs to be said, and like I don't know how convincing she really is, but I mean she did really well in Blood versus Water, and she has like reasonable ideas. Like she's like the anti-Wu, where Wu would like he had everything on his side, but he couldn't say it out loud. Sierra doesn't have anything on her side, but she's making points. Like those little lies that just seem real, even though they're not. She's really good at that. I don't know what it is, but she's really good at doing that, and she made a hell of a pitch tonight, and maybe it does help her next week. Maybe she knew it was going to be Cass, and she just wanted to be like, guys, you got to play to win. You can't just sit there and say, well, I'll be 8th or I'll be 9th. Like, why was the reason for coming back out here?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the analogy with Wu, like the opposite of Wu, is right on. She was like very articulate, like good at convincing, but really had nothing to go on because they had nothing to offer at all.
Yeah. Wait, what was this? Oh, wow. So Mark Dean just commented on our old video, and he said, I went to watch Ponderosa on YouTube about 15 minutes ago, went to comment on the video, and the first thing I see is the whole boot list, which started by listing the winner and runner-ups.
Like, that's just awful. That's why, like, maybe we should keep comments disabled. Like that's terrible.
Somebody has posted the boot list on here before, and it was deleted. Like we did it. I don't know if they deleted it or we deleted it. Somebody had posted like, this is the supposed boot list, and it's like,
yeah, I deleted that one. I deleted that one, but it wasn't right. Like once I saw it, I immediately saw it said Sierra as the 3rd person voted out, and I was like, I'm deleting it. If Sierra goes whatever, that's a shame that I know that, but.
Like, it was bad enough knowing Terry was going to go home. Like, because Terry's going home, like, I don't want to know who the winners is. Granted, they don't know who the winner is yet. So don't buy into that completely because they haven't read those votes yet.
Well, if you're looking at a final 3, you can probably,
But if the final 3 of this cast is like a Jeremy Spencer Tasha or a Jeremy Spencer Steven or even like a Tasha Spencer Steven, I mean, there's really no runaway clear winner. Yeah, I think Spencer has
I don't know. What if it's like Kelly, Kimmy, and Spencer? Like, then you're like, all right, I know.
Oh, Kelly Wigglesworth, yeah, but if it's Kelly Wentworth, Spencer, and Kimmy or something, it's like either of them can win. I mean, the thing right now is if there's a pair of either Jeremy, Tasha, Spencer, even Savage, Kelly Wentworth, or Steven, if there's a pair of any of those 6 in there, I don't know who the winner is in that situation.
Yeah, I don't either, but, this is just a bummer, man. It really, it really is. I mean, the fact that it's out there is one thing. The fact that people are going out of their way to ruin it for other people is just even worse.
That's the internet, man. It's cool.
It is. It is. We might have to shut down podcasting if we get spoiled. I mean,
if we get spoiled, I'll never watch Survivor again. Isn't that like the mature thing to say these days?
No,
just
no.
Nuke the situation.
No, you nuke the podcast. You just while you turn on your TV at 8 p.m. on Wednesday night, and then you tune in next Wednesday. You don't look at interviews. You don't comment. You don't go on forums. You don't podcast. That's the way you would have to do it.
And that's what's annoying is like this is fun. Like that's like the fun stuff like about like being like as obsessed with something like this show is like it's fun to go on those forums and see like what people think and like just to see like that there's other people out there who are that obsessed with the show. I mean, we're seeing it firsthand. The fact that we have 485 subscribers and we had like 1,000 views plus on all of our videos. Like there's people who want to hear 2 random people who have nothing to do with Survivor talk about it. And it's cool that that community exists. And it's annoying that there's like this one little ogre running around in here, like, look at me, I'm going to ruin this for everybody because I'm so cool. And it's like, just like, God, like, give it a break. Like, it's just stupid.
It has to be a kid. It has to be someone that like doesn't understand how.
Is it you, Jimmy O'Connor? Is it you?
I don't think it's none of our.
It's not him. I
know. But it's got to be like, I think like a 10-year-old who's like thinks he's like hacked the internet and figured out like this secret list, and he's gonna expose.
Or it's one of the survivors who acts like a 10-year-old after they get voted out of the game, and they're like, I'm just going to plant this everywhere because that's the cool, mature thing to do.
I doubt it. I doubt one of the survivors is actually posting it. But I guess we're kind of getting in the way of the actual episode tonight.
Well, we're pretty much out of episode, and we have no comments.
We have some.
Yeah, we can go through some.
Do we have anything? Let's start with Twitter. We usually Twitter is on the rise here, and I don't think it's just because of the comments being disabled. I think people are, starting to tweet.
Yeah. Let's see. First comment: the winner of Survivor Second Chances is. You want me to keep reading that comment?
You're not being serious.
No, I'm not being serious. That would be cool, though, wouldn't it? If like even Twitter we started getting screwed here, and Twitter we can't like really help. Because you're going to see it before you can delete it. So if anybody tweets it at us, God, we will find you. Corey Bananas, Phil and Will, when will the more unidentifiable idols make their way into the game? Hopefully soon. I hope, but I don't know when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. But Jeff hyped this up a lot, and I don't think he would have hyped it so much if it wasn't going to be like a thing, at least.
When did he hype it up, though? I think he hyped it up pre-season. Like, I know the interviews came out around like September when the show is going to air. But all his interviews about it and stuff, I think, were actually done before the game.
No, because I think he does do some interviews after. Like, he'll do, like, follow-up interviews. Like, he'll do, like, I know with, like, Dalton Ross, he does, like, his on-site. He does, like, a bunch of on-site interviews and stuff. But then I'm pretty sure that he does come back and talk about the things afterwards, too.
Yeah, that's possible. I hope it comes into play. Because idols, man, like, I know some people get, like, they're just, like, the Survivor purists that just hate idols and stuff. Like, idols are fun. Like, I love to see it.
Yeah.
It adds such a level of gameplay where the whole vote splitting, like, who are you going to play it on? You can't tell anyone who you're voting for. We have decoys, things like this. And if they don't look the same and they look like they can be, like, pieces of tissue or just, like, what if a buff is, like, one of the
idols.
That would be
hysterical. Like, it just says something on like the sleeve.
Yeah,
like,
it just has like
say Reebok, but now it just says idol.
It just says no. It has just like a different pattern than all the other buffs or something like that. So you really have to convince someone that this is an idol.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool. I mean, hopefully this comes into play. I'm sure it will. Like, Kelly and Jeremy aren't just going to ride to the end of the game with these idols in their pockets. Like, they're going to, at some point, feel threatened and play them either successfully or unsuccessfully.
Yeah. And at this point, I'm thinking Kelly might actually have to play it first because I think Kelly's on the wrong side here. I think Jeremy's got a pretty good core, at least. I don't think Kelly really has anybody right now. I think she does have Spencer a little bit better than we've been led to believe. And I think she's in a little bit with Keith. I think that the breaking of that to KO5 had nothing to do with that they were breaking apart. It just had everything to do with we might as well get rid of Cass. Like, I think that was more so what it was. But I still think Kelly's going to be on the wrong side of the numbers and have to play her idol actually pretty soon.
I see Kelly bouncing back from this. I think because it, like I've said earlier, because it's 9, there's no way they're sticking together until Kelly, Abby, and Sierra are gone. Like, it just is not going to happen. That would shock me. So I think Kelly will find her footing because she does have good relationships already.
Yeah. So Richard Marquardt, how did Spencer and Joe get into the power position? Spencer is good for a while. Joe is just too much of a physical threat. Man, I don't know how they got to where they got to. There's no reason that the two of them should be able to be the decider in who gets voted out.
Well, Joe actually, like, Joe didn't just fall into this. Like, a lot of times, like John and Jacqueline, for example, in San Juan del Sur, they kind of just landed as swing votes a lot, like through a tribe swap or some.
And they were always a pair.
Yeah, and they were a pair. They had 2 people, so that kind of happened to them. Joe made this happen for himself because he was good with Jeremy and Savage and Tasha on the original Bion. He goes over to Tokyo, becomes, makes a Final 5 deal with Keith, Sierra, Cass, and Kelly Wentworth. Talks to Spencer tonight. Like, he has good relationships with pretty much everyone in the game. So I think Joe actively did this, and I don't think this is, Joe being, struck with luck here. I really think he
I hate to say it, but like I think Joe's playing a great game right now. And as much as I still don't think he has a chance to win the game just because he's going to get voted out at some point, it's got to happen. I mean, he's playing a really good game, and he's got connections everywhere. I mean, and with Jeremy's whole plan of keep the strong, get rid of the weak, right now, Joe, he doesn't want to get rid of Joe. And Joe is tight, I feel like, with people all over the place. I think Joe is really learned from his first time. I really do. Yeah, he's still going to win the challenges and stuff like that, but I think he's just such a physical threat, he can't help it. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's just going to happen, and he knows that, so he might as well win them.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem there with the challenges. I just wish Joe hasn't been edited kind of as like a one-dimensional. I mean, he's gotten some strategic stuff, yes, but take tonight, for example, when Spencer's using Joe language as if like he really needs to dumb something down for Joe, like in football.
Sports, because Joe doesn't know how to speak. Like, I don't even think Joe's like a big sports guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's just like
a surfer dude who just happens to be athletic.
Yeah, he like goes to the gym and he's fit. That doesn't mean he's a football player. But they're really shoving this like Spencer is a nerd. Like, I'm going to get all football talk with Joe. And it's like, I think Joe and Spencer are way more similar than like they're showing. Joe is by no means like some, dumb blonde kind of like jock.
Yeah, this would have been funnier if it was Steven trying to like talk football to Joe, because it would have been just painful. And I don't feel like Steven knows much about football. I mean, I feel like Spencer's like a normal 23-year-old guy who just happens to be really smart.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think he probably, I mean, he lives in Chicago. I'm sure he knows that the Bears play football. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that this was like out of his comfort zone to talk like this to Joe. And I also don't think that they were like, I don't know. I don't feel like I feel like Spencer didn't mean like Joe's dumb, but the show tried to play it up like Joe's dumb. We've never been led to believe that Joe doesn't know how to talk to people. This isn't like
Joe. Yeah. And he's super good at puzzles. Like, he's really good at them. He's a really smart guy. So this is why this just bodes bad for his, edit.
Yeah. Could you imagine if they played up Malcolm, who did play Division I football? Could you imagine if they played, or Division I AA, whatever it was? Could you imagine if they played up Malcolm as he didn't know how to talk to people? He only knew like you had to talk in terms of football. I mean, that would be ridiculous. Like, we all knew Malcolm wasn't like that. I feel like Joe's just Malcolm.
Yeah. But Joe can't win is what I'm saying. And so it's sad that because he is playing such a good game that he's getting kind of this jockey edit. Again, it's like what they did with Rodney in Worlds Apart. That dude had numbers. He could have been like a power player. They could have shown him as one, but they chose to, build him, make him a one-dimensional character. And now Joe is kind of just the good-looking jockey camp guy.
And it's funny how much things change from one season to the next, because last season we were saying Joe, they're showing him in too good of a light, and now this season we're complaining that they're not showing him in good enough of a light. Yeah,
because he has changed, but they're kind of showing him the same way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Any more comments here on Twitter?
Oh yeah, we have a lot more from Twitter actually.
Oh, good.
Ash and Mel, who I don't know if they're twins or the same person, but they look exactly the same, and they have like similar profiles. But they commented a lot, so we'll just go through all of these because they're here. Ash, do you think Sierra voting for Savage was risky? Seems to be a dangerous move to betray her alliance just to save her butt. I don't think that she was like really thinking about this. I think this was one of those, she knows she's actually going home, so Savage wanted to throw her name out there last time, so she'll write Savage's name down this time just to put like a statement on it. You know what I mean? A little stamp.
Yeah, I don't think this is a good move. It can only hurt you. It's not going to help you. So if I'm looking at it, there's no like value in it at all. So it might feel good to like write Savage's name down, but in the end, it can't help your game at all. I think it's not like a terrible move, but I would, if I'm out there and I know my ally's going home and my vote doesn't matter, I'm still not throwing it at someone specific.
Yeah, I mean, Sierra is super emotional, and like I don't know if you like follow her on Twitter or anything. I don't even know if you have your own Twitter or whatever, but like she's like very emotional on Twitter, on social media. Like she's very emotional, and she gets angry like really like quickly. Like Max Dawson was trolling her hard, and Max is kind of a dick, but he was trolling her hard.
I saw that argument. Sierra won that argument. She had tons and tons of favorites, and like Max got like 0.
Max is annoying. Like Max and Jen are being children, and it's it's not important. It's not a big deal, but like my God, like let Sierra speak her mind and then don't say anything about it. Like, don't be bitter because Max didn't get voted back on. But yeah, Sierra's very emotional. So like, I think this was just her. She's like mad in the moment. She's really mad that she can't get the numbers, and she's not thinking long term. She's kind of doing a knee jerk reaction where I'm just going to write down Savage and that'll prove something.
Do you think that there's any way that she's going to try to convince like that 9 that like, yeah, we all voted for Tasha? I don't really know. Or I guess
how many two votes came up for Tasha?
There was only 2.
Yeah, because Wentworth didn't vote for her. So yeah, Sierra, I don't know, didn't make much sense.
There's nothing where she can really. I was thinking maybe you started to say, yeah, I think Spencer voted for you, or Steven threw that Savage vote, but no one would do that. I guess it's a purely emotional thing, not a good decision. Next comment.
Ash again, is Wentworth in trouble now that she's not on the side with the numbers, or is Bion Strong not going to be able to stay together? I don't think Bion Strong stays together the entire time. I do think that it's going to stay together for a little bit, but not the entire.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot already. We think that Kelly will probably. I at least think.
Yeah, I think Kelly will be okay. And Ash just said, yeah, we're twins. So Mel and Ash are twins who are our number 1 Twitter commenters, which is pretty funny. So thanks for that, sisters. Helping us out there. They comment all the time. See, they're taking advantage of the YouTube comments being disabled.
Are they identical twins?
I think so. They look identical.
Oh my gosh, they're telepathic. They are.
Yeah. They both know what's good, and they know that Phil and Will is good. Mel says, what a great episode. Looks like Sierra's days are numbered. Put a huge target on her back lying about Savage like that. Yeah, Sierra's done. I mean, I thought, I don't think that this has anything to do with last week's move of keeping Spencer. I think this is just Sierra's done because she sided with Cass, who lost her shit, and then Sierra in turn lost her shit.
See, I disagree with you. I think it does have to do with them voting out Spencer. If they stuck with Savage and voted with Savage, they might head to this merge like Spencer's gone. They might head to this merge as like kind of one happy family.
Yeah, but I still think they would have tried to go back with Takeo, and there's just more Bion.
But Cass is original Bion. Sierra is original Bion. I don't think it's a Takeo Bion thing. It's just they got swapped up too many times. I think they're in a much better position if they can, heading into the merge, this is what they said. We have 6, they have 7. Like, we need to find one. Find the person on the bottom, find the cracks, get them over. It's almost like if they were saying 6 strong, let's just go in with the 6 we have on this beach. Obviously, Savage was not a fan of that. He was not going to work with these people. But if Spencer had gone home and you have Wu there and you're building some trust, they all vote together, maybe things out work better for Sierra and Cass.
You actually made a good point. That's actually a really good point. No, that's true because Wu, if you vote out Spencer last week, you got Wu and Savage and Abby and Cass and Sierra. Wigglesworth is kind of on the outside, but Wigglesworth already said that she would work with Savage. They go back, they get the old Bion, and Spencer might be the one going home this week or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it still might be – or
no, Spencer is already gone, yeah.
Yeah, not Spencer. I mean, like, Steven or something like that might be the one going home this week because you might be able to pull Jeremy over just because you can be like, Jeremy, look, like, Savage can be like, this is my 6th. Do you want to be back in it?
Or like Kimmy or something. Like, Kimmy was original Bion. Like, maybe she will stray away from Jeremy now that the merge is here and Jeremy's such a big threat. I don't know why you say, like, actually I made a good point. I feel like if I wasn't making good points that often, you probably wouldn't want to talk about Survivor with me because it wouldn't be fun. So I think
troll episode, man. This is the mudslinging troll episode. You started off with like with a fire, and now we just have to say things about each other that might be true and might not be true. They're going to be like little Sierra truths. That's what we'll do. We'll just
I'm going to give you a full truth. I think you make great points all the time, Phil, and that's why I like talking about Survivor with you because, like I always say, I really don't know anyone who watches this show that I interact with on a daily basis. Like, you are the only one, and your roommate who I met through you, and he probably watches Survivor because of you. So, keep up the good points, Phil. On to the next comment.
I'm about to cry. Mel says, do you think this is again about the Bion tribe? Do you think that the alliance will stay Bion strong? How do you think Spencer will vote in upcoming tribal councils? So I guess the Spencer thing is new. We kind of talked about the Bion thing, but where do you think the division is going to come in? Because let's say Sierra does go next. Let's say that she goes next, so Sierra and Cass are gone. We're down to the final 11. Does the division set in there, or do they just vote off Abby Maria? I think the division sets in at 11.
See, I'm not so sure Sierra is going to go. I mean, I'll probably
Well, I'm just
put
putting
her.
the hypothetical out there.
No, I know. This is actually something we kind of brushed over in tribal council. We didn't get into. Jeff brought this up. Is this kind of the game now where I'm just going to have an alliance every tribal council? It's going to be new every time. Things are going to be changing because that's what Jeff wants. He knows that's the best TV. Yeah. So he's trying to say, was that what you guys are doing? Like, I hope that's what you're doing. Sierra's like, no, we do have long-term relationships. Obviously, that's important. But is there any kind of truth to what Jeff is saying, that this season is so crazy with so many swaps and things? Maybe every tribal council, we're just going to get people kind of voting with different people. Is that can that happen?
I think that's something we really should have focused on, because Jeff bringing that up, I mean, that says it all. I mean, that it's going to have some sort of effect later in the game. And Jeff has said numerous times that this season will, like, it changes the way the game is played a little bit, like where it's much different than seasons past. So maybe anybody who played the Survivor Ultimate game, where you could only make alliances for 1 3-day period, maybe that's what we're finally getting. And maybe the alliance thing that they did back in, like, after Marquesas aired for a computer game, maybe it finally makes sense now in season 31, because these people are only going to last for like 1 episode cycles.
I'm not familiar with this alliance game or this ultimate game.
Oh, dude, it was terrible. It was a brutal game. The 2 Survivor computer games are bad. Anybody who's ever played them, you'll know they are bad. But yeah, they used to have it where, like, you could only make alliances for 1 episode, and then, like, the alliance was just gone. You had no connection with those people anymore. So maybe that's what's going to happen this season, though. Maybe it's finally coming true 27 seasons later.
Well, the game did not want a Pagani, so I think that's why that was there.
Maybe.
I know Eric from Fans Vs. Favorite. Reichenbach, that's sorry, forgetting his last name. He's working on a Survivor app where you play with other players. Like, it's pretty much an ORG through an app called Islands of Chaos. It was supposed to come out like a year ago, I think. I don't know. I mean, those things take such a long time, a lot of work. So hopefully that will come out at some point. That would be very, very cool.
That would be, especially if somebody like Eric, who's, like, you know, artistic and all that stuff like that. He would probably, like, he was a huge fan of the show. He was like the real fan. Like, in a Fans Vs. Favorite season, he's like the, like, ideal fan. So that would be cool. Okay, let's see here. Ash, do you think Sierra will be the next boot because of her trying to throw Savage under the bus? Seems like a risky strategy. You think that's the reason she's the next boot, if she is the next boot? Savage was pissed.
Yeah, I mean, the reason, I mean, she is a threatening player. So, and I mean, she laid it out tonight. Like, she's playing hard. She says, I want to win. Like, she didn't try hiding that. I don't know. I really hope it's not Sierra. I really hope it isn't.
Now, we're going to get into MVP and LVP, and I don't think Savage was the MVP of this episode by any means. But with Savage in this episode, when they're all saying, let's vote out Cass, and he's standing there shaking his head and looking angry, and he's giving the confessional he wants to get rid of Sierra, do you think that was just edited for TV, or do you think he was really, like, pushing to get Sierra out of the game?
Oh, he wanted Sierra gone.
Yeah.
I thought that
he gets it. I don't understand what's his deal with this.
He does not get how Survivors played these things. I mean, he was adamant about it. He was just, I mean, I thought that might even turn around to bite him. Like, it might be like kind of like the Abby vote or the PG vote, where PG's like, you know what, actually I want to get Abby out, and they're like, wait a second. Or, you know,
anybody but you, Savage. That's the way you have to play this game. If the entire majority wants to vote somebody out, just go with it. Don't let them blindside you like they did last time.
Exactly. All right, let's keep rolling.
Yeah, Ash, how long do you think Abby will stick around? Will she just be kept around as a vote?
I'm afraid Abby's going to be here for a while, unless when idols start getting into play. You got to think there's a clue somewhere. There's going to be 3 idols out there. If people really start to get idol paranoia, throwing one at Abby is very safe. It's like we can get rid of, if she ends up finding herself in an alliance, which she can do, she's still a vote. So I think that's going to be kind of the only way she gets voted out, because she's a great person to take to the end.
Yeah, I think Abby's going to be around a while. I do think eventually, like you said, something's going to happen with idols or something where people are going to be like, well, we know Abby doesn't have one. Let's vote Abby out. Even though Abby did find one in Philippines, I think it's going to happen where it's like, Abby doesn't have one. Let's get rid of her now. Or maybe she just finally causes too much havoc, almost like Brandon Hansen, Caramone, where actually he was pulled from the game. But still, like, maybe it's just so much havoc that's like, we have to get rid of this person. Like, we can't keep them around. We can't possibly keep them here.
We started getting comments on on the video somehow. So who knows what's happening? I guess you can now
Now they're coming
comment
through on the actual video right now?
on the actual video, on episode 7 recap.
With Phil and Will.
Yeah, that's us. Only they're coming through now. So if they're, I guess, enabled. I didn't change a thing. It can be Google sometimes.
For me, it's still showing up as disabled. So I can't read them. So I think we should finish the Twitter thing, and then I guess you can take over on those.
Sure.
But let's keep going. I mean, Ash just keeps going. And then do you think Joe will reconnect with Savage and Jeremy in the Alpha Male Alliance since Jeremy wants to be with Shields? Do you think that they're actually connected? Do you think Joe actually went back to them? Or do you think that this is like – because I guess what she was asking was almost like what would have had to have happened before the episode. But do you think that this is actually back as an alliance, or do you think that this was just like a one-time deal with Joe going back to Jeremy and Savage?
I think like – as of now, I mean, I think there's really no way of knowing. I guess the better question is he going to vote with them again? Because right now, like, yeah, they're in an alliance, but the alliance is so big, it's hard to even call it an alliance. It's like a voting group. I don't think they have like allegiances to each other. And this is totally fitting in with Jeff's theme of like the game is changing. Like maybe you just have a voting group for this one vote. I do think Joe votes with Jeremy and Savage again, though. I think he's kind of back with them. If he really was committed to this final 5 deal, he wouldn't have turned on Cass so easily. I mean, Keith flipped at a drop of a hat. So I think that 5, that went away so quickly. Like he is now fully in with Jeremy. And Jeremy Savage, and you have to remember Keith was a part of that too, that original Alliance. So he and Keith kind of came over together. So I think because both of them were in that original Bion, that proves it even more that, yeah, they're with Jeremy and Tasha Steven.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with all of that. Caleb Sutton with a tweet. I think he's new. I don't think that we've actually had anything from Caleb before.
Yeah, he comments. Yeah, I know.
On Twitter though, or on YouTube?
Oh, I don't know. I just remember that's a name that has.
Yeah, I think that he's new to Twitter. So good, you found us. He says, "Do you predict the third idol will be introduced soonish? Seems like idols have not been mentioned in 4 weeks." Yeah, it's been a while since we've gotten idol talk, and I'm hoping that one comes up because I want to see how it would play out in an individual challenge.
Yeah, right. Like, where would they have put it tonight? For that
on the poll, like where are you putting it? Unless it was on like the losers bench. Somebody had said that. I don't know if it was in our comments or something else, but somebody had said, would it have been cool to just put it on the losers bench? So you have the decision: do I stay in the game or do I just lose instantly and go over there and grab it?
That is an amazing idea. Whoever commented that, awesome. Props. That is such, because then it's like this idol I can use, for the length of the game. This immunity necklace only gets me through 1 vote. That's awesome. I'd love to see that. I just think maybe they didn't even kind of put the clue out there because it is the first one, but maybe they start coming in at rewards. Because rewards, there's more courses and you can like do it easier. In the immunity challenges, you often have like your own little area, and that's just way harder to kind of sneak an idol in there. So
yeah, and a lot of times at the immunity challenges, it's endurance, and it's really hard to like hide something at an endurance challenge. It's not so hard, like you said, with the rewards. You're kind of going over a course. You're going to be doing extra things. With this situation, it's like a lot of the challenges are stand on this or hold on to this or do this. Immunity challenges are always a little bit less fun for the contestants than the reward challenges.
Yeah, and I think they obviously designed these challenges with the idol thing in mind, so that they set it up so that, okay, maybe the first merge, challenge, we don't really need an idol here. We won't have the clue out yet. There's already so much going on. But these challenges down the road, they might have more movement and allow people to find the idols easier.
Yeah. And then Tom Azenberg, is Kelly Wentworth in danger? No. I think she's going to be fine for a while. I think she's right in the middle right now. And Mel, which players do you think have the biggest targets on their backs moving forward? This is the last Twitter comment. So yeah, I don't know. Who do you think has the biggest targets on their back right now moving forward?
I feel that Savage is probably going to go pretty soon. Tasha is getting a pretty good at it, but I could see her like going pretty soon. Obviously, Sierra, she's at the bottom. I think Kimmy and Kelly are both people, and Keith too. Unfortunately, those 3 are they're going to kind of hang in the background until they do something meaningful. And I think their meaningful part of the story is going to be going home by someone else's doing. So I don't think we see them until, their boot episode or maybe the episode before. So I do kind of fear for them a little bit.
Yeah, crazy, because Keith was the camera hog in or one of the camera hogs for the second half of the season at San Juan del Sur, and we've gotten almost nothing. I was shocked that he got a confessional tonight.
He was like playing golf in the background during the fight between Tasha and Cass.
Savage were like hanging out talking to each other too.
And he was practicing his golf swing. Like, it was really funny. I love Keith. Yeah. I really wish we got more of him. The twins, if you are identical, tweet at us whether you are telepathic or not, or you have any moments of telepathy. That would be really cool, because I really think identical twins have powers. So,
as an aspiring writer, Willie was pitching an idea the other day, and it was heavy on telepathic twins. So the fact that twins just came out and said they were twins, this has to make Will like. I
mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting field of study that doesn't get talked about enough. There are powers, maybe. So let us know. We'll go to YouTube now. We have some people use
the last week's. Are you going to start there?
Yeah, I mean, you can bring those up. I'll bring up the new ones.
All right, yeah, that's fine. Just a couple things I kind of want to point out here. Kyle Stone says he doesn't think Spencer's edit is overbearing. He also thinks that it would be cool to have a 3-tribe format with a Legends, a Heroes, a Villains, and a Winners tribe. Like a Legends season with a Heroes, Villains, and Winners tribe. I'm sorry, that's what he said. So that would be kind of cool, I guess. Benjamin LaFleur said that he put all the alliances, statistics, and relationships into a simulation, and it had Steven winning in the finals over Jeremy and Spencer.
Whoa.
I mean, I don't know. He said it's been accurate so far, having Vitas go out first, Varner, Wu, and Shireen not too far behind. I just think a Steven, Jeremy, Spencer final 3 would be just too insane.
What kind of I don't know how you do that. How do you make a program?
Said it's called brand steal. I don't know what it is, but I just figured it'd be something interesting to point out.
What do they take into account when making you just say, they like their alliance? I feel like there are just so many variables.
Yeah, I don't know.
If that predicted Vitas as the first boot, it knew something. It knew the boot list.
Yeah, it had to, exactly. Camden Ewan says, CBS YouTube preview clearly showed Joe with the immunity necklace on, then they deleted the video and tried to repost it. One that edited
I saw that comment. I saw that comment before the episode. If you could please refrain from not posting any sort of spoilers, because I knew Joe was going to win immunity tonight because of that comment. So
yeah,
please.
And CBS, I mean, but to be fair to Camden Ewan, yeah, it's better not to point it out. But CBS is spoiling for everybody too. My God, if you actually pay attention to the video, you do see Joe the first time with it clearly there. The second time, it's not as obvious. That one you would have had to have looked for.
Yeah, I mean, anything that might even remotely be a spoiler, just we'll talk about it once the episode airs. You can talk about really anything in the episode. I mean, not to be it's not that big of a deal. I mean, Joe winning immunity is no shocker anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, so Shane Trumpet, great broadcast. Keep up the good work. Just wanted to say that Cass has got to be one of the best casting ever on the show. Every time she is a key part to an episode through 2 seasons, it's a great episode. She will be missed. At least she made the jury, which no one expected going into the season. Yeah, I'm happy Cass made it as far as she did. I was glad that we got to see a different side of her and then the exact same side of her that we voted back onto the show.
Yeah, I really wish she would have stuck with her calm Cass, the new Cass, because it was working well. And I mean, it couldn't have played out any better for the editors to tell this story that reverting to her old ways was her downfall. Fun to see it for a couple episodes for sure, though.
Yeah. Mark Dean to play devil's advocate. Sierra and Cass probably thought that the tribe switch should have lasted longer for at least 2 votes before the merge, which would allow them to vote out Savage right before the merge, giving them a lot more wiggle room. I see this as a pretty good point. I mean, yeah, they probably still shouldn't have saved Spencer, but if you're thinking that your tribe is weaker, you vote off Wu, making your tribe even weaker, and you're going to go, then you get rid of Savage. Nobody was expecting the merge to happen at 13. I mean, they were all clearly shocked by it, so maybe they did think that they were going to have a little bit more time, and maybe an episode or 2 at least, not the next week they were going to be merging.
That is a very good point. I agree with you there. But let's say they do this, and then there's 2 episodes where they actually win the challenge.
Then you bond more, though. Then you might get closer with Savage.
Yeah, but Savage is ticked off. He's so mad. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to go back. I mean, I see this point. It's a good point. I just think flipping, especially when like they're flipping to save Spencer. Like if it was a flip to vote Spencer out, like that makes way more sense because he's a threat. But you're doing two things. You're keeping a really, really strong player in the game, and you're taking off someone who trusts you. So I think that's why it's a bad move. So I do get the point, though. They could have gotten Savage out the next time. That does make sense. But at that point, Savage trusted Cass and Sierra. He really, really did. So when someone trusts you, I think you got to kind of, use them. Use them.
Yeah,
if they trust you, use them.
Yeah, exactly. And then cut them off at the right time. And it showed this week that last week was not the right time. I still thought the move was okay for Sierra. It proved to be way more fatal to Cass, just like I pretty much was saying the entire time. Zach Valentine, some ideas for video you guys could do after the season: top 10 strategic players, top 10 social players, and top 10 challenge beasts. I mean, yeah, we could probably do that.
That could be fun. I'm on the hot girl.
Yeah. That might be like a 5-hour podcast. We might have to like bring in like video descriptions and like prove our points, like look at this picture. How could they not be the hottest?
I feel like if we do that for women though, we're going to have to like do a male one. And I don't know if we have to, but we don't want to keep things.
I guess it's up to the listeners because Joe is hot. Like what are we going to do? Right. Anyway, Laurent Neron, who do you think is going to use the idol first, Jeremy or Wentworth? By use, I mean play, involve the idol, so tell someone they got it. Sorry for the English, I'm from Quebec. I guess what they're saying is not necessarily play the idol, but just use it to their advantage in the game.
I think you got to think it's Kelly here. That's a great question, too. Not necessarily play it, but just, use it as a tool. Probably Kelly Wentworth. I'm surprised that neither of them have shared it with anybody.
They haven't had to.
I mean, they haven't had to, but you think you're just sitting there, you're on an island for doing
bored. Yeah, but they're
bored out of your mind. Like, man, I got an idol. Like, I got to talk about it with somebody.
These two, and to be fair, we don't like Sam Wandel, Sarah, but to be fair, these two were probably the biggest fans on that season and maybe two of the biggest fans to play Survivor. Like, they love the game. Like, Jeremy had applied so many times. Kelly Wentworth, like, obsesses over it. And they both came out here with a huge chip on their shoulder. They both failed, like, miserably in their first time, at least in their minds. And I think they're both just sitting there, and I think it's hurting them to not tell anybody. But I think they're just really, really trying like as hard as they can to not. And I think they're both playing super hard right now.
Yeah, no, it's a credit to them because, I mean, even me, like, I'm a huge fan. It would eat at me, man, to have an idol in your pocket and just, not be able to even talk about it. I mean, that takes real true dedication. And
you can't, like, call somebody on the phone who has, like, no relevance to the situation. I mean, I would have a hard time keeping my mouth shut. I would have a really hard time keeping my mouth shut. I would have to talk to the camera people, like, once a day about the idol just to get it out of my system. Like, I really would. And then Zach Valentine says, when are we going to get more idols on or some discussion about idols? I'm getting anxious. Hopefully soon. I mean, that's what we're saying here. Hopefully we get it pretty soon. It seems like they played them up big at the beginning, so I don't think that it's just not going to amount to anything. So hopefully soon.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see him.
We actually have two more comments real quick on here that just came through. Dylan Peddle with both of them. I think Sierra is going to try to make some really big moves and stir things up, which is either going to help her game or come back to bite her in the butt. I mean, at this point, she's got no other choice.
Yeah.
She already tried to make the big one that bit her in the butt. Now she just has to hope that she survives kind of the way Spencer did at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, I was saying earlier that these desperate moves, they sometimes work, and it's smart to do them, but only do them when you're desperate. I don't think Sierra and Cass were at that point yet, but now she is. So I think it's going to be similar stuff from Sierra tonight, really trying to, stir people up and get anyone to get mad at anybody else,
Yeah.
I think these players are, though, really experienced. They know what the person on the bottom does. Like, they're all familiar with it. They all have experience.
Because they've all been on the bottom because they all lost.
Right.
Steven, who makes it to the final two, was still on the bottom for the early part of the merge in Token Jeans, and he found his way out. So, like, they're all used to being on the bottom at least at one point. Tonight was great to watch with all the scrambling and everything. Dylan Peddle says, It's great that we heard from a lot of people in this episode, and I don't think there was any of Abby. It was Abby, Wigglesworth, and Kimmy, which has Wigglesworth and Kimmy. That's been kind of like the MO for this season. Abby, I'm cool with it because we got a lot of her at the beginning, and then if they can keep her held back for a little bit until she's actually going to get booted, I'm fine with that, and it'll be a successful, second chance for Abby in my book if they don't continue to overdo her, which it seems like they're not going to, at least from the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, agreed. So are those the comments? Okay, so yeah, I don't know how some people figured it out how to comment. I guess it still says disabled, but from Giovanni or Liana, and if anyone wants to comment like how you got to this page and how you figured it out, like Giovanni, definitely let us know. Do you think Joe should betray Jeremy and Andrew if he had the numbers to do so?
Yes. Because I think even though Savage doesn't really understand the game and everything, I think eventually Joe's going to have to cut them off. I don't think he's going to have to do it now, but I think that Joe's biggest competition to actually win are Joe and Andrew. Like they're on that side of the numbers. I think if you can flip and get somebody like Kelly Wentworth and stuff like that, who people might be like, oh, she was more subtle and not in your face like Jeremy and Savage were, I think that might actually work better for Joe if he can get to the final. If he can get to the final 3, which I just still don't think is going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like if he was going to betray these guys and that was kind of his plan, he could have done it tonight. Like he was talking with Spencer. Why does he say, hey, look, Jeremy and Savage are 2 huge threats. Steven's over there. He's a threat. Why don't we bunk with, the Devil and Cass and Sierra? We don't have to worry about them. We can beat them at challenges down the line. I mean, there was an opportunity here for Joe to do that. So,
you know what, though? Here's why I think Joe definitely went with that group. Here's what you have to think about here. Those 3 of Abby, Wigglesworth, and Kimmy. I'm sorry. Now I'm reading the people who didn't get confessionals. Abby, Cass, and Sierra. Between those 3, they are all so unpredictable. That other group of 10, and I'm including Kelly Wentworth in there just because people haven't really seen her and she kind of voted with them, they're predictable in a sense. Steven, not so much. Spencer's a strategist, but they're more predictable, and they're not going to do things that don't make sense. Cass and Abby have proven they will just do things to stir up the game, and Sierra is somebody who is really good at lying. So I think Joe made the right choice this week, but going further, I don't think that he can win the game if he stays by the side of Jeremy and Savage the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point. Definitely good reasons to stay with your, the boys club.
Yeah.
Total drama Survivor fan. Do you think they merged at 13 to save Andrew, Spencer, or Joe?
No.
I don't think so because Joe and Spencer weren't even in danger. So the only reason would be to do it to save Savage. I think they really don't do this. They don't decide as the game goes along when they're going to merge. I think it's predetermined because they have to plan out these challenges, way far in advance, especially when you have idols at them. Like you got to figure that out too. So there are always conspiracy theories about production helping certain players. I don't think they decide to do swaps. Like for those 3 tribe swaps, that had to be planned a while ago. You had a whole different beach, a whole different buff color.
And I think they wanted this season to have the biggest merge ever because it was something new and different that all of these second chancers weren't going to be prepared for. And I think they wanted that to be the case. And I think they wanted a huge jury because I think they wanted to milk as much as they could out of every member. I mean, now you have Cass on the jury. Yeah, she got 13th place. Didn't even come close to finishing in the top half of the season. But now she gets to sit on the jury, and they want that. They want Cass giving a jury speech at the end of this game. So I think that they really wanted a huge group of people to kind of offset the Wigglesworths and, I guess really Wigglesworth's the only one who's, when the jury time comes, she's not going to give a very good jury speech. It's not going to be very entertaining, but you have so many other people around it who are super entertaining. So I think they wanted as much as they could. I think they learned from the mistake of Karen Moen, to be honest, when Corinne went out first merge member, but doesn't make the jury. I think that changed everything.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. That they just want all these fan favorites to get their screen time even after they've been voted out. We had one more comment from Giovanni saying, "What should Sierra's plan of action be?" I have a good idea, but I'll let you go first.
I would, maybe you should go first because I don't really know what her plan of action would be. So just go, and I'll see if I agree or not.
If I'm Sierra, I am sitting back for 2 straight days, not doing anything. I'm I'll do my work at camp. I'll go to the challenges. I'll have fun. I'll hang out with everybody. Don't really worry about the game for 2 days. If you haven't noticed any crack or anything during those 2 days, which would be shocking amongst this many people, then I go balls out day 3 when I don't have immunity and I need to save my ass and, use the connections that I've been developing over those 2 days where I'm just kind of not talking game. I'm just kind of hanging out and not getting in people's spaces. I'm not being the annoying person on the bottom. And this isn't like totally going all Brendel as if scrambling is below you. Just don't do it early.
Do what Spencer did earlier in this season.
Wait for someone else to mess up. Wait for a crack to form, like what Tasha and Savage did. They get to a tribe, they're down the numbers 2-4. They just kind of sat around until PG and Abby got, on each other's case. Varner was getting angry. So I think that's got to be your plan. With 9 people, it really is. It's sure to happen. Something is going to happen. And then you have Abby and Kelly kind of on the bottom too. So they might be the ones causing problems. Like if they think they're on the bottom, they might do things that you maybe thought about, but you're going to sit back and play it cool. That's what I would.
Yeah, that's a great plan, but I think that fits with Sierra's personality at all. I think, like I said earlier, I think she's just too emotional. If something makes her mad, she likes to say that it made her mad, and she'll do everything she can. She's a fighter. I don't think she's going to be able to sit back. I don't think she has it. I don't think she has so much that switch. You know what I mean? Like I don't think she can do it. That's a really good plan because that would work. I mean, it worked for Spencer earlier in this season with Jeremy when they voted out Monica. It was like, I'm still nervous, but I just have to sit here and I can't say anything. I just have to sit here. And it was really people talking to him instead of him just trying to be super strategic. So it's worked already this season. Maybe Sierra can pull it off. I kind of hope she can because I like having this side of Sierra on the show. I think this version of Sierra is a great character to have on the show, and it could really be incredibly entertaining as the season goes on, especially if she never can find her way to the top. So I would like to see Sierra stick around for a little bit. I don't want her to go next week because I think that would really be our first boring boot that was really predictable. Because, you had Cats at 13 this week. I still don't think it was a predictable boot coming into the episode.
I just didn't know who else to put. And I think I said this in the prediction episode, the narrative was there for Cass's boot. Mm-hmm. Like she had said she's going to be Chaos Cass at the merge, and that's going to be her downfall because she was being rewarded for being, calm Cass. So that's kind of why I saw it there. That's our last comment. We did get actually a good amount. I mean, we got to get into them too. We didn't have to kind of speed through some. Now
you'll be able to comment now. So once the video closes, you'll be able to comment. We'll be able to go through them all.
And please, no spoilers about anything, or we might have to. I don't know what we'll do. I really don't. If we get something on here, then it's just I don't know. We'll have to just disable comments forever.
Yeah, that would be annoying.
Disable our Twitter.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, it's just stupid that this is going on right now. It always happens with the returning seasons, and this is always like the biggest problem with returning seasons is that the boot lists do come out easier and people can figure them out easier and people communicate with each other. I mean, who knows? Maybe Shireen goes up to Max and says, because they're pretty close outside of the game, maybe she says, hey, this is how it went down, and maybe Max is the one doing it. I'm not saying he is, but like that's how easily something like that could happen. You know what I mean? Like,
shouldn't Shireen not even know if you're really gonna
shouldn't. I'm just because I know they're close. I'm just using them as an example. It could easily have been. I don't know if Steven and JT are still close, but it could easily be that situation where Steven goes to JT and says, "Look, this is how the game went down," and JT just starts spoiling it. Not that I don't think that would happen. I'm just saying with these people know all the other survivors, and maybe one of the bitter survivors who didn't make it ends up doing it. Maybe it's Monica Padilla because I don't think there's ever been anybody more bitter than that they got voted out than Monica Padilla. I mean, she was calling out rigging.
What?
Yeah, she was saying that it was rigged. She was saying that
I heard her exit interview.
What?
I said her exit interview that Kimmy just completely baffled her. And like she thought she was good with Kimmy, but she wasn't.
If you read the one with Gordon Holmes, she says the survivor gods had a hand in getting her voted out of the game. And she's like, one day my name's not even coming up, and it's going to be Kelly Wigglesworth or Spencer, your season one darling, and then a really recent fan favorite. And all of a sudden the next day I'm getting voted out of the game. I think it's just bad gameplay. But Monica was super bitter after this game was over. I'm not trying to put a stamp on Monica and say that she did it, but there's so many people who could have done it.
I mean, did she watch the episode? You mentioned the All Girls Alliance to Kimmy. Kimmy goes immediately up to Steven and Jeremy saying, she's talking All Girls Alliance. Like, do you think that was all acted? Like, if you're going down that road, then, man, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. She was mad that she didn't get an edit, and I think she was, mad that she went home. I mean, she's just very bitter right now. I'm not saying she's the one who's spoiling it. I'm just saying there's a reason for a lot of these survivors to spoil it, so.
You got to be more mature than that. It's just a real bummer. All right. This one's getting long. These are
MVP.
always going long. MVP, I think you just got to give it to Joe here. He got himself in a power position despite being a threat. Even if he didn't win immunity, he's not going home. He's going to have a choice on which side he wants to go with. I don't even know what team Joe is on, but I think you have to give it to Joe this week.
I completely agree. I was going to say, this is one where we can just sit here and say Joe is MVP. He is on my team, but, he had a fantastic episode. He wins the challenge. And, he put himself in a power position. It wasn't like, well, if Joe loses, we're going to vote him off. It was just, where's Joe going to go this week? And I think he did great. LVP, man, I guess it would have to be Sierra because she's screwed. She is screwed. I don't think she made terrible moves this week, but she is screwed.
Yeah, I don't think she should have kind of, gotten on Team Cass. And, Cass was pissing everyone off, and Sierra jumped in and joined her. How about you let Cass blow up herself, and then you can go scoot on to that beach with 9 other people and say, hey, yeah, this game, you got to play the game for yourself. There was no reason to get in there. I would say Sierra LVP. She's on my team, I think. I'm not trying to – maybe I should come up with someone else. I don't know. Who else?
I don't know who else
LVP?
it would be, though, because everybody else seemed like they were in the loop, except for Abby. But Abby didn't do anything that wrong.
Yeah, maybe Abby, just because,
we all dislike Abby. I don't know. Still vote.
Who has Joe? Who has Joe on their team? Do you have Joe?
I have Joe, yeah.
Oh, man, you're going to get MVP. I'm going to get LVP. That's a tough one. I didn't see if Jeff wore a black shirt.
He only wore blue, man.
Okay.
I was looking this time. I'm pretty sure he only wore blue.
Did you give me the points for last week, though, at the food challenge?
Last week, yeah.
Okay. And he visited camp, so that was a big week. Okay, wrapping up here. The comments should be working once this video ends. You have anything else, Phil?
No, come back on Sunday for more mudslinging between me and Will. We'll give more half-truths, and we'll see where it goes.